You have these plans of it going great, and perfect weather and finishing the race, maybe not necessarily winning both, but like you're gonna get a good finish, and none of it went, as planned.
Really excited here at USA Today to welcome into our Times Square studio a NASCAR Hall of Famer and a two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion. We have Kyle Larson and Jeff Gordon here. The new series, the new documentary, on Prime Video, Kyle Larson versus the Double. Gentlemen, thank you both for stopping by.
Yeah, great to be here. Thank you.
I just thought of this actually. I was walking in the studio. You ever attempt to do the double?
I did not, no. I mean, I grew up in Indiana, went to high school there, from California originally, but I always wanted to race the Indy 500, never got the chance to. So the double was, I probably had an opportunity to do that, but at that point, I don't know, I just felt like it was a lot to take on, and it takes a guy like Kyle Larson to pull it off.
Yeah, this is, let's just start big picture with this documentary here, because I think at least if you look at it from an ego standpoint, would have been very easy to shelf this thing, right? Like you attempt it twice, it doesn't go the way you planned. In the process, you probably have to address some things that you don't really want to address on camera. You still put it out though. Why?
Well, I think for me, it was just, they had spent 3 years following me around, and things aren't, I think it just shows, it's a good documentary to show things don't go perfect all the time. And it also peels the curtain back on what it takes to, prepare yourself, both physically, mentally, to learn a new discipline. Yes, it's racing, but it's an IndyCar versus NASCAR, which NASCAR I do every weekend and I'm comfortable in. IndyCar, not so much. So learning all about that, the controls, the cockpit adjustment, all that, and then go 230, 240 mile an hour on the racetrack. So and I think what makes the documentary great is that, it didn't go perfect for us. We had the stress of the logistics and the weather, and then the results of not quite executing quite perfectly on the track and getting the finishes that you want. So you kind of ride this roller coaster with me throughout it, and I thought they just showcased the story very well in it.
Yeah, to me, the audience is going to win in this one because of the human element. You get to learn a lot more about the discipline, the sacrifices that a guy like Kyle makes. It's not just about his talent, what he's capable of doing. It's, he's a father, he's a husband, he's a race car driver, but he's, at the end of the day, a human being going through all kinds of different emotions that come along with trying to put this together.
It's interesting, Jeff. Actually, let me kind of sidetrack here for something, because I remember when I was a kid watching you. I believe you were a fill-in co-host on Live with Regis and Kelly way back in the day.
Yes.
Here in the city.
Yes.
And it was interesting because at the time, that was a vehicle in which you and some of your other colleagues could help bring NASCAR to a new audience, to a different audience. Is that kind of also part of this here too, as a part of the larger NASCAR Prime Video partnership, or no?
Well, I mean, first of all, Prime's done an amazing job picking up NASCAR and being invested in it, promoting it. They do a great job with the broadcast. They've got a great team. And then, I think these types of opportunities, we saw it. We did the Garage 56, where NASCAR goes to Le Mans, and Amazon Prime picked that up. And I think it, really ties into motorsports as a whole. And this is another kind of element of that, of just tying the sport into Prime and their audience, and introducing it to not just race fans, but a broader audience than that. And back in those days, it was shows like that. It was trying to be on the Tonight Show. I was fortunate to do SNL. Today, it's about social media. It's about YouTube. It's about, streaming services and things like this that really brings that, again, more of that deep storytelling human element to it.
Kyle mentions the roller coaster. You have a front row seat to this as a vice chairman with Hendrick. Why were you comfortable letting Kyle get on that roller coaster?
Well, I was like him. You hope that it goes well. You try to control all the things possible to make it go well. We had obviously a great team at Hendrick Motorsports who's prepared and on board. Rick Hendrick was very supportive of it. But then we partnered with Arrow McLaren, another great team on the IndyCar side of it. I feel like we covered every single thing except the things that we couldn't control, which in this case was the weather. And I would say other than that, especially year one, because we did do this back-to-back years, I thought up until then it was a very exciting ride and a lot of fun for me especially to live vicariously through him, because I didn't get a chance to do it, and seeing him do so well transitioning, which I kind of expected he would. But yeah, so there's certainly elements to me that I see that are really exciting, reliving the fun part of it, and then the challenges that were not fun, but it's still part of the story. When Kyle first came to Hendrick Motorsports, we knew his desire to do this, and to me, I was proud. I know Rick Hendrick was too, to kind of be a part of this dream happening for him.
Kyle, I think in the moment we don't really sense this, but maybe now watching back on it with a little bit of perspective, the fact that weather did play a little bit of a role in it and you can't control that, does that make it a little easier to swallow or no?
Man, I think it almost, for me, makes it tougher. Because,
Really?
Like the first year I didn't get the chance to do both because, we were so delayed to where I wasn't going to be able to do, the full distance of the Coca-Cola 600. So yeah, I was super disappointed in that. And then even the following year, had I not crashed, we probably still weren't going to be able to complete the Indy 500. I was probably going to have to get out at some point early. So yeah, just as disappointed in Mother Nature as I've ever been. So yeah, just going through all those emotions, but then also, not quite, I think because of the pressure of the weather and just not having a clear mindset, not being able to go execute how I want to, and the mistakes made and all that. So yeah, you kind of see the stress and live through the stress, and then getting to relive it again, watching the film is a bummer, but also part of the story, and just cool to kind of look back on it all and again relive the journey, because it's been a few years since they started following me now on that, and see my kids in it. The family, seeing how people react on the pit box, or my family, where I don't get to witness all this while I'm in the car. So it was fun for me to watch and see kind of the emotions everybody else is going through as well.
All right, what's harder to drive, IndyCar, NASCAR? Which?
They have their challenges each. I would say the IndyCar you're going faster, but you have much more downforce, so the cars are kind of stuck to the racetrack a little bit more. Where a stock car, they're heavy, they slide around a lot more, so maybe more challenging on the driving side of it. But then you also, on the IndyCar side, you have way more controls at your disposal, and you can get kind of confused on that, and it's a lot more complex of a car to try to learn. But I've driven a lot of different race cars, and they're all difficult in their own way.
What's happening on the plane ride from one track to the other?
Well, it was a lot of sadness on both of them, because I didn't get to, like the first one, I got to run the 500, but I sped on pit road at the very end, and was probably going to finish somewhere around 5th place to 8th. So I was super bummed about that, but excited to go get to Charlotte to get back in my NASCAR car, and feel like I would have a shot to win, and that was still half the race left. And then the rain, the same storm that got me in Indy got me in Charlotte. So it was just like unbelievable, that first year. And then yeah, the second year, a lot more sadness, just crashing out early and then ending the night, with another crash in Charlotte. So, again, like it's a cool documentary in my opinion, because you have these plans of it going great, and perfect weather and finishing the race, maybe not necessarily winning both, but like you're going to get a good finish, and none of it went, as planned. And so you get the drama, you get the stress, you get the emotion, all of that in the film, and I thought they captured it, extremely well.
Jeff, you mentioned kind of living vicariously through Kyle because you didn't get a chance to ever attempt the double or race Indy. Do you see any of yourself in him as a driver or no?
I mean, we have similar backgrounds, similar paths of how we got to NASCAR, but we're also uniquely different, in our own driving styles and personalities. But I think our passion for racing is you know, extremely high, and a lot of comparisons there. So, yeah, I look back and go, gosh, I wish I could have run the top and driven dirt the way that he did. And he's probably wishing he could have driven some of my cars from the 90s. But I do think, you know, the Indy 500 is definitely something that sort of bonded us, because it was a race we both grew up with watching. Our families watched it. I know a lot of my heroes were in the Indy 500. So it was definitely a dream of mine to race there. And I never got that chance. But you know, to live it kind of through Kyle, and I try not to focus too much on the things that didn't go right. I really enjoyed the things that did go right. I mean, to see him go out there and qualify with the pressure that's on you, making 4 laps at Indy, I think is one of the most difficult qualifying sessions you'll ever make. And there was even some drama with that. And then, you know, he ends up qualifying extremely well for the Indy 500. And that was something that I know he was proud of. We were proud to be a part of it. Errol McLaren, you know, was a big part of that. And so, yeah, that part was fun, and I'll always remember that.
We see some of that dirt track racing after 2020. Now, let me, real quick, you address the Twitch stream. You address it head on. We hear from your wife. We hear from your father. We hear from you. How difficult was filming that part of it?
You know, honestly, it's not. Like, I accept that I made the mistake that I made, and I've grown from it. I've learned from it. And sure, you don't like to relive it sometimes, but, you know, it's part of my story. And this film showcases my story. So it would be a huge miss to not address it. So, yeah, I was when they asked, you know, if I'd be comfortable addressing it, I said, sure. You know, like I said, it's part of my life and my story. And, you know, learned, grew, got, you know, with Hendrick Motorsports, and was able to, you know, come out the other side a better person, a better racer, and all the good things that went along.
Your wife, she says that a lot, you grew in many ways from that as well, from that incident. What I guess did it do to your family in the long run?
Well, yeah, I mean, it quickly made me grow up, you know, fast and mature, and you know, the racing life is so busy. It brought us closer together, you know, because I lost my job in NASCAR, so I had more time to spend, you know, with my family, and you know, bond that way, and then do a lot of things off the track to grow as a person too. So, yeah, I quickly, like I said, grew up, and you know, obviously, I wish I wouldn't have made the mistake or gone through it, but at the same point, everything happens for a reason, and I think, you know, the path that it took me on was a much better path.
We see at the end of the doc you and your son together. Is he going to follow in Dad's footsteps?
Well, actually, my son and my daughter, they both race currently. So they say they want to be a racer, so we'll see. It's been a lot of fun. You know, it's cool to see them kind of following in my footsteps, and then for me, getting to like relive my childhood through them is always fun, as I'm sure for any parent, you know, in any maybe sport. So, but yeah, you know, we don't put too much pressure on them when it comes to racing, and it's more about having fun, and that's what my, you know, family treated racing like with me. Yes, we raced all the time, but it was always about having fun. So that's what's been most important with me and my wife Caitlin with our kids, and yeah, it's been enjoyable. They've been doing a really good job so far this year too, so it's been fun to see.
Did they ask a lot of questions?
No, you know, kids, they got it all figured out. So
I got a son who turns 3 next month, and he's got a little bit of teenage.
Good luck. I got a 3-year-old right now, and it's they say terrible 2s, but it's 3s that are the worst.
Really? Oh, geez. We just got through a really bad sleeping stretch. I think we're on the other side of it now, but that's not great to hear. So, so thanks for that, Kyle. What else are you hoping viewers take away from this documentary?
I mean, just, you know, listening to Kyle talk, right? I mean, this is one of the most successful race car drivers in the modern era right now. If you look at all he's accomplished, 2-time champion, right, in NASCAR, all the sprint car wins and the race wins, and attempting the double, right, racing at the Indy 500, and yet he's gone through struggles. He's gone through, you know, the ups and the downs, and so I think, again, I go back to, this is a human story, right, about nobody, whatever you see from the outside, there's a whole different, you know, layer to it, or multiple layers to it, when you really get inside of what not only took to do the double, but to live in Kyle Larson and his family's shoes.
How are you guys feeling right now about the state of NASCAR?
No, I mean, I think the sport is in a good place. We've had a lot of different and unique winners and great races this year. My man here is going to get to victory lane soon, but
No pressure.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, listen, if you look at our media rights deal, we're in a great place. You look at the leadership and the collaboration between the teams and NASCAR. I like what's happening, like what I'm seeing, and never hurts to have Michael Jordan and his teams, doing well and that presence. And we got a lot of young up and coming superstars along with our veteran guys. I can't believe I'm calling Kyle Larson a veteran, but so I think the future is really bright.
Did you know MJ before he got into racing?
I mean, I had met him a couple times because he's always been, I don't want to say a fan, but he's been around the racetrack for years. Racing has been something that's been a part of his life, whether it be things he did, motorcycle or other types of racing. And so yeah, he's you meet him at some races and some events. Never did I think he would be an owner in NASCAR at the Cup level. So that was a bit of a surprise, but also very cool.
Are either of you paying attention to the vintage clothing trend that's happening right now with NASCAR? I think it's been happening for a few years, and certainly a lot of your old stuff's a part of it, but we're seeing other racers as well. This has become a big thing now where these pieces are being sold at vintage shops for more than they retailed for, and they've become very popular as well. Have either of you noticed about this? Do you have family and friends that are taking part in this vintage trend? Or
my daughter, who's 18, she definitely likes it. We were actually over in Dubai a few years ago, and she came across one of my old jackets that was selling for $1,000. And I was like, don't buy it. But I know there's a vintage shop right here in New York City that we'll pop into every once in a while and see what's trending, what's in there. And it's pretty cool, to see some of your old stuff, I mean, I think it's more popular today than maybe it was back when we were selling it in the 90s.
Certainly trendier.
Yeah.
Certainly trendier, that's for sure. Has anybody reached out to you? Hey, can you get me a vintage piece, or can you get me one of your old jackets? Even
I'm not vintage like Jeff.
No, you're not. You're veteran, but not vintage.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But no, I mean, we have my own jackets and stuff, but I think it's the vintage stuff that's most popular. But I laugh whenever I see people wearing, old racing jackets or shirts and stuff, because I'm probably like, man, they probably have no clue who they're even wearing right now. And that guy's a legend. But it is cool to see, because I think it brings eyes to our sport still.
It's like the person wearing like the old band shirt, like it's Motorhead or whoever. It's like, do you really know that band? Do you really?
But it's cool. I've connected with people over the years because I'll see them on a stage. Diplo, who is a producer and DJ.
Oh yeah.
And all of a sudden, he shows up with one of my shirts on, and now he and I are friends and connect. So you see things and experience things like that, and it's wild. You never expect that to happen.
What's one thing that you guys would like to see happen with the sport here moving forward?
To me, you always want growth, right? You want to take care of your core fans, which I think we're doing a good job of that right now. You look at some of the tracks that we're going back to North Wilkesboro, back to Rockingham, not necessarily the Cup Series, and then you've got new opportunities. This year, I'm really excited about San Diego, creating a street course on a naval base, in America's 250th anniversary or birthday. And so I think that's going to be a huge event. So good opportunities like that I think connect, new fans as well as our current fans. And whether that takes us north of the border, south of the border, or beyond, I think there's some real opportunity there.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to touch on that as well. I think for me, I can't speak to like the business side of what goes on in that, but on the competition side, the schedule is something that I think that NASCAR's done a great job with over the last at least half a decade or more, and continue to spice things up. Again, also really excited about San Diego. We've raced at the Coliseum in LA, Chicago, street race. And then going back to some older tracks that had gone vacant, and reviving those. It's been really cool. So I think they do a good job on that of bringing our sport to new people, but also kind of touching back on the older fan and where the roots of our sport are.
What's the preparation like when you go to a street course?
It's difficult because we don't we have these simulators, but they usually don't get the track to us until a couple weeks before the event. Like we have San Diego coming up next month, and I have no clue what the track looks like. And then you got to go try and make these laps on a sim, and then in practice, we get 1 50-minute session to learn it and feel the bumps and feel the grip and get the visuals down and all that in real life. So it's tough, but we're all so good that we adapt really quickly. So it's fun to see how quickly we learn and can get up to speed. So I think it just goes to show how well everybody is in the NASCAR Cup Series.
After going through this process over multiple years, Kyle, would you invite a camera crew back into your life again?
Dude,
they stuck around a little longer than you anticipated.
Yeah, at least an extra year. But even outside of this, I feel like the past 4 years I've had different things. So I need a break for at least a year of camera crews following me. But no, I love it because 10, 20, 30 years from now, I'll get to go back and watch these films, and you get to relive cool memories. So get to see your kids when they're young, and see your wife shotgunning beers and things that she might not be doing in 10, 20, 30 years. So I think it's tough in the moment, but I appreciate it, and I think someday we'll look back and appreciate it even more.
His mom and dad prepared him for this when he was like 3 years old.
Yeah, my mom, she followed me with a camera my whole childhood, I feel like.
Got to see a little bit of that footage in the documentary as well. Jeff, could you have imagined, especially when you were racing, this kind of access to drivers with social media, with the type of storytelling now that people have such a hunger for?
I mean, it's a different type of storytelling, in how readily available it can reach so many people, but our sport's always been accessible. I think it's one of the things that separates us from any other sport, even other motorsports, is you see the fans are just right up and close to the drivers, to the cars, to the action, and such a huge part of the atmosphere and the vibe that happens at the track, from tailgating all weekend long and partying to to just cheering on their favorite driver, to getting autographs and pictures with them moments before they get in the car. So I think it's something that the sport's always really benefited from, as well as embraced, and I think this is just an extension of that today.